sound a little bit excited out here. Is that right? All right. You ready for a great 1994? This is going to be a landmark year. I tell you, the way the things are growing over here, we constantly get reports back in the United States to try to motivate us, okay, what's happening in the UK. And we're here just to real quickly share a little bit of our background to give anyone out there hope that a couple from a small town in southeastern Pennsylvania with nothing but farming background can build this business. Are there any farmers out there? 2 of them, good. A lot of times I felt kind of like the farmer that found himself out in the field holding a rope. He wasn't sure if he lost a cow or found a rope. And we kind of squandered around in this business for the first year, but with the system that we have, we were able to go direct in the year in the business because of the great system, the upline, and the support that you have over here that we could plug into over in the States and get a foundation for a business that's just growing by leaps and bounds, more than I could ever believe. But I can't think of a better thing for you to commit to than this business, okay? Anyone here ever go on a diet, try to commit to lose weight, okay? Did you hear about the guy who went on the garlic diet? Did you ever try that over here, the garlic diet? You don't lose a lot of weight, but you look smaller from 2 blocks away. So then I thought I'd try the powdered food diet. You know, for 6 months I ate nothing but powdered food, and it worked fine until I got caught out in the rain. I gained 12 pounds. So then I thought I'd go to a rowing machine. Do you ever those rowing machines? I put a rowing machine down in the basement. I got tired of that, so I put an outboard motor on it. That worked a lot better. But here's a person that helped keep my dream in focus, and a big reason why we built the business. I recommend you pay close attention to my wife, Audrey.
Wow, you sound excited. We were watching you from above there when the group was singing, and you can tell when you're in the midst of a fired up group. You can just feel the vibes, and it got us excited just watching you from above. We are very excited to be here, and you have tremendous leaders who have been showing us a wonderful time in the past week. And we're excited to share with a new group of you here this evening, and hoping that we can make a little bit of sense or even just touch a few lives here, because functions just really did it for Jerry and I. And we saw that nobody built a business without going to the functions. And so I just want to commend all of you, especially all of you that are new, because it can be a little bit overwhelming when you're in a crowd like this and you see everybody so excited and jumping around. And we didn't expect a business to be like this, but it was so refreshing. We left 3 little girls back home, and I just want to say thanks for all the cards and the letters and the notes, because they had a lot of fun too helping us open all the letters. So I just want to say thanks for all that also. It helped us feel very welcome before we even arrived. Just a little bit about my background growing up. I grew up in a home where my parents were very loving, and I have a deep appreciation for the morals and the values that they instilled in me at a very young age. And I have to admit that that was one of the things that really impressed us about the business when we first got in, and that was the leaders and the values and the morals that they had also. Jerry and I became high school sweethearts and were married just a year after we graduated at the age of 19. And there was nothing more than I wanted than to get married and have a family. So 2 years later, our first daughter, Carissa, was born. And 2 years later, our second daughter, Kirsten, was born. And I quit work to have a family, and so our income kind of went in half when we did that. And yet we had 2 more mouths to feed. So what's wrong with the picture? You know, I was feeling very, very blessed. And I heard a famous author and speaker, James Dobson, say one time that the highest calling in life is raising the children that God has trusted to your care. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have children, but I think today's society doesn't paint it up to be a very glamorous thing. But I just want to tell you that as you carry out the duties during your day, there's a lot of menial tasks that go unrecognized, or that we kind of feel nobody's real grateful for. I know what that feels like. You know, I know what it feels like to feel like you got nothing accomplished other than cooking another meal and cleaning, changing dirty diapers and doing the laundry. And yet, if there are things that we have to do, we might as well learn to enjoy them, right? But it didn't take long for me to see that, these precious little children that, God trusted to our care, they didn't come with the funds that were necessary to raise them. And so we felt like we were getting further and further behind every month. And I was feeling just so frustrated. How many of you gals ever go to the supermarket and just wish you wouldn't have to try and find the best buy? I mean, doesn't that get old? I just wanted to be able to buy premium choice orange juice instead of concentrate. I'm sure some of you have heard that the best things in life are sometimes the simple things. I just got sick of clipping coupons. And I don't drink coffee or tea or much soda, but I like juice. And I just wanted to be able to, buy the best orange juice that's on the shelf. So that was a small goal of mine when we got in the business, and that was to when we went Pearl, to be able to buy premium choice orange juice. So, your goals don't have to be real big starting out in this business. You can have some small goals too. So, I eventually started thinking, something's got to change. And Jerry kept saying next year is going to get better, next year is going to get better. And I think one thing that really frustrated me, and I'm sure many of you can identify, that our income was based on things that we couldn't control. We were farmers. We couldn't control the weather. We couldn't control what the price of corn was. We couldn't control what the price of beef cattle was. And so all those things felt out of our control. And even though we were working hard, we weren't getting any further ahead. And this just really frustrated me. And so I started praying that the Lord would give me something that I could do out of the home with the girls there, so I wouldn't have to take them to a sitter, but also something where I could help other people. And about 10 days after I prayed that prayer, praise the Lord, my best friend from high school called, and they shared this business with us. And yeah, isn't that exciting? And I don't want to offend anybody here, but I made a promise to God after we saw the business that if He helped us build the business and we became successful, I would always give Him the honor and the glory. So I want to do that here tonight. I just want to say, thank you, God. We had a lot of fears to overcome, and I'm sure you've all heard the saying, if the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. And so the fact that you have some fears, it doesn't matter. If your dream is bigger than your fears, you can build this business. For our first meeting, we made about 80 phone calls. Now, Jerry's going to explain a little bit how that went. But we heard it was a numbers game, and we had a lot of people that said no or that didn't commit. And we knew that to get a yes, they had to give a commitment. It had to be, yeah, they're going to be there for certain. And he was really scared. So, gals, guess who made the first phone call? Yeah, I did. I made the first phone call. And that really upset Jerry. He thought, if she can do it, I can do it. Now, if I say anything here that's different than your upline, definitely stick to what your upline tells you. But, our upline have told us that if you're building it as a couple, you're stacking the deck in your favor if the man makes the phone calls and takes the lead in the business. And Jerry and I did some things wrong, too, building the business, and that was perhaps one of them. But we found that we kind of failed our way to success in this business, that doing things wrong is sometimes even better than doing nothing at all, because even though we did some things wrong, we threw enough mud, and we heard if you throw enough mud on the wall, some's going to stick, and that made sense to us because we were farmers. So we joked about our house getting dirty. We just started flinging mud. And so one of the forms for that was me making the first phone call, and that got Jerry motivated, and he started making a few phone calls. But another phone call that I made was to a cousin of mine, and I didn't tell her this at the time, of course, but she knows it now. One of the only reasons I called her was to help fill up the room. Guess who our first direct was? Isn't that exciting? I also like to add, gals, guess whose 4% check that is? Yeah! How many of you gals would like a 4% check every month? Month after month after month? Could you get excited about that? I don't know if your upline's told you yet, but they don't just stay at that minimum amount. In the States, it's a minimum of $600 a month for a direct. That amount just keeps growing. And so, I have fun every month spending my 4% checks. I actually have 2 of them, and Jerry has a couple of them also. So we kind of have some fun competition building the business. Bob Maley, who was in our upline, did one of our first meetings, and I like to include this in my story because I think it's a very important point for you fellas. The night that he came into our house, we got into business with basically complete strangers. Even though it was my best friend from high school that called, we didn't really know her husband. We didn't know anybody else upline either, so we had to kind of have blind faith in the system. That's not hard to do, though, when you look at the success of all the people that have gone before, is it? I mean, it is a proven system. There's no doubt, and shouldn't be any doubt in anybody's mind here today that the business works, right? Just look at the leaders in your organization over here and the lifestyle that they have. Don't you want that? What's there for you, too? Just keep believing. Well, Bob Maley came down to our house, and I'll never forget that evening because we were a little bit nervous about it being one of our first, I guess it was our first meeting. And when he walked in, he walked over to Jerry, and he shook Jerry's hand, introduced himself, and then he walked over to me, and with the same intensity, he looked in my eyes and introduced himself and said it was a pleasure to meet me. And I just want to tell you guys, you never know. You never know when you go into a house who's more excited, because I was more excited than Jerry was when we first got in the business. Or maybe I should say I was quicker to show it. And, you can't treat women out there like second-class citizens. I don't know how, I can't sugarcoat stuff. My group knows I don't sugarcoat stuff. I give it to them straight. So I just want to tell you guys, don't treat women like second-class citizens. You're going to lose a distributor if you do that sometimes. You might lose a direct ship, too. Well, Jerry was scared when the business started working because he actually didn't plan on it working. We didn't have any business background. We didn't have a lot of business knowledge. We weren't real polished in our people skills. And I got in right away for the nice clothes and the cars and the big house. I wanted that, and Jerry had a little difficulty seeing that. He got in for another $200 a month, so that's all I give him. Pretty good deal. But it never fails. Every time we speak somewhere, he gets a hold of my notes before I get up front. What do you think he has on my notes? He has 500. He's trying to get a raise. Ain't gonna work, honey. But every month when our bonus checks come, there's the 4% checks, there's the Pearl bonus, there's the leadership bonuses, and they just keep climbing every month. This business is so exciting, it really is. And it wasn't too long ago that a bonus check came to me, and he said, "How much is it?" Because he knew our business had really gone through a growth spurt and that should have been bigger. And gals, I reminded him, I said, "Honey, what'd you get in the business for? Does it really matter? You have 200, I get the rest." In the beginning, my family wasn't very supportive, which was a major shock to me because I just knew there were some guarantees for our first distributors. Well, of course, my sister and my whole family, I just knew that they were going to be excited about the business, and I was totally shocked at the reaction. It was like they couldn't see it, and I don't know what it is, but sometimes you'll show people this business, and it's like they have horse blinders on or something. They just don't have the vision. Well, it's okay, because not everybody out there is dreamers. And each one of you in here tonight is a dreamer, and you're going to find that there's a lot of people out there that are scared to dream in life. And so if they see that you have the courage and the boldness to dream, it just reminds them perhaps of their fear or their inability to do that. And they're going to try and discourage you. They're going to try and steal your dream. And my family didn't really try and steal my dream, but they just didn't encourage us. And that was a major blow for Audrey Crater, because it was very important for me to have my parents' stamp of approval on everything that I did. And I felt that this was a way for me to just really show that, hey, I'm somebody too. There's a lot of talent in my family. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and they're all 3 incredibly talented in music and sports. And I just kind of felt growing up that I was just kind of average, middle-of-the-road kid, And that was okay. I enjoyed people. I didn't need to get the recognition. But when we saw this business, I thought this is a way that I can prove myself that, yeah, I'm somebody too. I have gifts and abilities that God gave me, and this is a way for me to utilize them in this business. And so that excited me. So I didn't let my family steal my dream. And my mother, she was an unusual form of motivation for me. My dad is a minister, so I was a preacher's kid growing up. And I always kind of felt the unspoken pressure of setting the example. And some of you might feel that in this business, and some of you might rebel at that. And I just want to let you know that that's okay. Because if people look to you to be an example, it's going to force you to become your best in life. There's nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful. So if there's any of you sitting here today that are struggling with that pressure and feeling, I don't want people looking at me to set the example. It's too tough. It's too hard. I tell you what's harder. That's looking at the checkbook every month. That's seeing that you're getting further behind in your bills. That's when the offering plate is passed on Sunday morning and knowing that you can't give as much as you'd like to give. That's what's tough. Things like that are tough. This business is easy. But my mom, she was an unusual... Have some water. My mom was an unusual form of motivation for me. Having been in the ministry, involved in the ministry, they dedicated their lives to the church and to other people, and I think that's wonderful. But they never had much along the lines of finances. And I said to her, Mother, I said, someday I'm going to take you out to a car dealership, and I said, you're not going to leave until you pick out a new car. And she kind of laughed, and I thought, that's okay. You know, I hope you have people laugh at you. I hope it feels tough on you sometimes in this business, because that's what it's going to take for some of you to build the business. It's people that laugh. It's people that say, you can't do it. And I needed a challenge like that. And so as we continued to build the business, my mom saw us go out and pay cash for a new Cadillac. Now, my parents weren't real excited about us getting a Cadillac, because in their eyes, that's a real symbol in America of status. But, you know, we were excited about the car that it was, and counseled with our upline. We went out and we paid cash for a new Cadillac. Well, she saw the business starting to work. The belief in her got bigger. And she said, okay, Audrey, if you take me out to a car dealership someday, just don't take me out to a Cadillac car dealership. I said, okay, Mother. So she's starting to believe it. But another interesting incident after we got the car was we didn't talk about it. You know, we didn't really talk about our success in this business because we didn't want to turn them off. And I was leaving my parents' house one evening with the girls, and I was putting all three of the girls in the car, and my dad came out, and he hadn't acknowledged the fact that we had our new car yet, and we had had it for a couple weeks. And he walked out with me, and he finally said, so, Audrey, how's the new car running? You like your new car? And Carissa, who was our 8-year-old, so seriously said, Grandpa, it's not a car, it's a Cadillac. I thought, wow, Carissa, thanks, that really helps.